Hello guys, Speedrod here. I've taken long vacation from this channel for exams and stuff like that. And today I've got something special. And of course I'm joined by my friend Rawen-Wolf.
Hey folks.
And we've decided to do something a little crazy. Most of you might not know, but I am Warhammer 40,000 fan. So that's that, and I've been a little frustrated lately because even though Goblins and Gnomes expansion came along, most of the people just use net decks. They don't experiment, they just use solution of someone else. Someone figures out that this deck works and works fine, so he posted on net, and bazillion guys look on the internet, look at deck list, copy it, and then play on the ladder. And I rather experiment, and I like to finding my own solutions, so we've decided to combine these two things, and we've prepared some themed decks with Warhammer 40k lore.
At least as close as possible to the lore.
Yes, as close as possible, but some stuff is a little questionable.
Well, Warcraft 3 and Warhammer 40k, there's maybe, let's just say quite many years difference, so
And
actually understandable that the technology and some stuff won't be available in fantasy-themed game, but hey, it's possible.
we've got a few of these decks. We've prepared them ahead, and I will put in this video before our matches our explanation, what we've chose to put in the deck and why. And we are gonna roll the dice with matchups,
At least a virtual dice.
this virtual dice. So while I do it, you're gonna see our explanation.
Oh, hey there folks, Rawen-Wolf here, and I'm bringing you my set of Warhammer 40k themed decks. All these decks were built especially for a friendly matchup with Speedrat. Since we are both fans of Warhammer 40k Dawn of War, we decided to take a little friendly match with the decks based on playable races from the game. We could choose any race we wanted, but we had to build the deck to resemble the race as closely as possible. So for my set, I chose Chaos, Space Marines, Orcs, Sisters of Battle, Tau Empire, and Necrons. So let's take a look at every single deck to show you what the playable race brought for restrictions, limitations, and so on. So for Chaos, I obviously choose Warlock because I need something that at least resembles the demonic synergy, even though demons don't work very well together. Also, Chaos uses machines, so I could put mechanical minions, and I also have a fair portion of demonic spells. There's one rule about these: I can only use demonic spells on my own minions. I cannot use them on minions of my opponent. There's only one slight exception in Shadow Flame, which can wipe opponent's board, but I also have to sacrifice my own. So it's an indirect effect. So for minions, we have lesser demons, also greater demons. Lord Jaraxxus would be better since the Chaos Lord could transform himself, but there is one problem, and that Lord Jaraxxus is missing in my set, so I replace him with Melganis. Also for the machines, we have spider tanks, mechanical yetis. They resemble quite a merge between demon and machine. Also, if we have some kind of demonic machine like Fell Cannon or Fell Reaver, even better. So for the spells, Implosion, Bane of Doom, Demon Summoning, Demon Heart, Demon Fire, Demon Buffing. And Mortal Coil, kind of sacrifice your own minion for a card, so why not? So that's so much for Chaos. Let's go for, I don't want to say good side, but hey, for better side, Space Marines. So Space Marines, Noble Warriors, so minions should be knight or knight-like characters. Applies of Master Swordsmith and Quartermaster. I was actually toying with the idea using Monster for Battle. I decided not to. For spells, they should be a divine-like spells, so Hand of Protection, Divine Shields, Consecration, Avenging Wrath. Also, we can use weapons. As you may know, the commander can use Sword, so True Silver Champion, or even Ashbringer, because why not? The Blessing of Might is the only that would be a little questionable. I first wanted to use Blessing of Kings, and I decided this buff is a little bit too extreme, so I decided for Blessing of Might. Then, Knight-like characters, Silverhead Knight, Stormwind Knight, Spectral Knight. Maybe a little questionable since he's in the game he's technically undead, but hey, we need something close to Terminator squads, and this could be it. Guardian of Kings, it's a little between Angel and Knight, but hey, okay, close enough. But the rest of them, there's no problem at all. Oh, let's go on. Orcs. For the Orc approach, I actually chose more of a brute force than a Zerg style approach. So I have every single weapon that's available, also upgrades, and plenty of enraging spells, because if you piss Orc off, he will rip you apart. And for minions, every single Orc possible, doesn't matter if he's male or female. That's something I forgot to mention with Space Marines. Every single minion has to be male. There's a similar rule for Sisters of Battle, but the opposite, every single minion has to be female. And also, a little spice with goblins, since goblins go well with unstable explosives. As a Matter Bomber or Mad Bomber can kill my own. Bomb Lobber, yes, it kills your opponent's minions, but hey, you don't know which one he hits. So, there is it for Orcs. Let's go for Sisters of Battle. For Sisters of Battle, we could use either flame-based spells, or I should say fire-based spells. So, Flame Cannon, Vaporize, fans' favorite Pyroblast, Fireball, Flame Strike, and for minions, we had to use every minion that's female and kind of a divine. So, Argent Squile, no problem. Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's a female. Sunfear Protector, again, female. Illuminator, even though there are not many secrets, but hey, we're not aiming for synergy. Little Exorcist, this guy fits very well. Shadow Sun Cleric, Violet Teacher, why not? Even though it spawns male characters. Hey, we need some cannon fodder. And Alexstrasza serves as kind of the, I don't know what's the unit is called right now, but I believe Speedrat knows because he has a pretty similar deck. And again, Alexstrasza is a female, and if she's not in her dragon form, she actually resembles, I guess it's elf, I'm not sure. So, Killing Blow, or Tau Empire themed deck. This deck was actually a little bit of a challenge, since I need ranged weapons, but I cannot take recoil damage, so I need to be kind of like a sniper. Problem of this is that it rules out every single weapon for Hunter. So no Glaivezooka, no Eaglehorn Bow, and preferably no Gladiator Longbow. I could use it since I am immune, but I decided not to. But since I need range attack, I had to put every single spell that shoots. So Arcane Shot, Multi-Shot, Explosive, Cobra. Also Snipe is kind of a shooting spell, but slightly indirect. For spells, I can also use something that resembles EMP. Since if you remember, XV15 Snipe is XV15 stealth teams, maybe XV25, I'm not sure right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can use Freezing Trap to resemble EMP grenades, even though they work on non-mechanical minions. And for minions, anything that can shoot, Ironforge Rifleman, Stormpike, or Big Game Hunter. Or mechanical minions, preferably piloted. So piloted Shredder fits very well. Where is he? There he is. Spider Tank to resemble drones. Four Reaper to resemble something bigger. It should be piloted Sky Golem, but there's one problem. It's not here. I actually don't have him, so nope. I had to replace it with somehow. Then I can use something resembling the other races. For Vespid I could use Windfury Harpy, but that would be a little bit too strong. So I decided to leave out Vespids and use only Kroot. We have Rugjo Trox, Chilvan Yeti, and a Hogger as kind of a Kroot Shaper as a commander. I could also use a minion resembling Greater Narlock, which would be perfect for Hunter, since Hunter has King Crush. But the problem is, as you may have seen, no King Crush for me. So, let's go for the last deck, which is Necrons. Why choose Shaman? For a perfect Necron deck, I would need minions that are mechanical or undead. So, mechanical or undead is achievable. The best thing would be mechanical and undead. Both in one minion. Not achievable. But hey, mechanical or undead, it floats my boat. And for spells, I could use only lightning spells, lightning-based spells to be precise, and spells that work like reincarnate. So I can revive, resurrect my minions. So reincarnate or ancestral spirit. Because as you may know, Necron units can spontaneously reactivate. So here we are. Preferably mechanical units, and not piloted units also, since Necrons almost work like an AI, or undead. You can look at Kel'Thuzad as the Nightbringer or the embodiment of Catan, and Spiteful Smith to at least closely resemble the flayed ones, since they're covered in flesh of their enemies, but yeah, it's little iffy. But why not? So, there you have it. 6 decks, 6 armies. Let's see how these fare against 6 armies of my opponent. So, see you later in the matchup.
So, you have heard Rawen-Wolf's point of view, you have seen his set of decks. He explained to you what choices he made, how he builded his set of decks, and he also explained few rules we decided to obey in this matchup, so we could be close to the lore of Warhammer 40k. I am a bit more knowledgeable about Warhammer lore than he is, so I fill some gaps and clarify few rules. And it's time, of course, to see my set of decks, and let's hear what I've got to say. Let's take a look at my Chaos deck. Of course, I've got lesser demons, I've got higher demons, and I've got machines. What would be Chaos without their possessed vehicles? Rawen-Wolf mentioned he can't use his spells on my minions. This rule has been set due to the fact failing Chaos champions are often changed into mindless mutated creatures called Chaos Spawn. It must be champion of Chaos, so it has to be his minion and not mine. I've got, of course, Lord Jaraxxus, so I can transform my Gul'dan, Chaos Sorcerer, to higher or greater demon, represented by Lord Jaraxxus. And I've got also Illidan Stormrage, who spawns Flames of Azeroth, and this can be compared to Chaos Spawn. I also have Acolytes of Pain and Cultmaster. These guys can be compared to cultists. It's interesting, I don't have here any Chaos Marines, but well, I didn't know what else could I use instead of those Chaos Marines. Let's jump to another deck. Second deck is Space Marine deck. As Rawen-Wolf mentioned, all these characters have to be men, all these characters have to be male, all these characters have to be knight-like. You can use only slight buffs instead of your squad sergeant's ability to boost morale of your units, of your soldiers, or instead of commander's presence around your units later in a game when commander has all these upgrades from relic or how that building is called. Thus we can't use Blessing of Kings or Blessed Champion, stuff like that. These are slightly overpowered buffs. I've got every single knight I could find. I've got here as well Guardian of Kings. Heal is allowed cause Space Marines use apothecaries to heal their injuries, and they are quite tough. As Rawen-Wolf mentioned, Spectral Knight is questionable and he could be used more likely in Chaos deck. He's undead or dark or something like that, so he might be better in a Chaos deck. But as he mentioned, we needed something Terminator Squad, something what would be hard to put down. We've got Avenging Wrath as hero commander, power to call Orbital Strike, or how is it called in the game? I can't remember right now. I've got here Elves, which is a little questionable because these knights should be humans, but Elf is something like a human if it's high elf. Orcs. Green is best, and only one who doesn't obey this rule is Garrosh, who is our war boss. He is supposed to take a lot of punishment, so his hero power is appropriate. I decided to use only small weapons like Fiery War Axe, cause orcs are mostly relying on their strength rather than quality of their crappy weapons. Their technology is mostly stolen from other races, even though mech boys are constantly working on reinventing or rediscovering the technologies they use, or making some improvements on their current things. They are just pile of crap, I couldn't forget execute. If you've played the game, you could notice that if there's some soldier low on health, other soldiers can execute him. Orc warboss or orc mech, they've got a pretty nasty execution move. Like, for example, warboss grabs this soldier, smash him in his mechanical claws, and then smash him in the ground few times, and there's a lot of blood, and it's awesome. So I put in here execute. Orcs also need Mad Dog. I've replaced Mad Dog with Voodoo Doctor. Voodoo Doctor in this game isn't technically an orc, but I needed something to replace Mad Dog, and Voodoo Doctor seemed to be appropriate. I've got in here every single orc I could find, at least once. And I've got here Mogshan Warden. I don't know if he is an orc, but he seems like one to me. Also, Rawen-Wolf used goblins instead of Gretchling and other species in orc races, because orcs are not just one race, they are many species combined together in Warhammer 40k universe. Gretchlings are usually used as a distraction or cannon feed or stuff like that. They're generally weak and they can't put up a fight, so I decided to not use them. They're usually not handling explosives like bombers and goblins in this game, but hey, it's not against the rules, and I thought Brawl can't be missing as well, cause orcs are enjoying fighting, and what's more representing fight than a brawl? Let's take a look at Imperial Flashlight's deck. This deck is supposed to represent Imperial Guard, of course, so there are not that many minions with higher attack than 1 or 2. It was hard to not use minions which I already put in Space Marine deck, or generally cards. I've needed to use some of those again, namely it's Abusive Sergeant, Master for Battle, Goldshire Footman, and Silverhand Knight. Because the hero power itself isn't enough to supply board with a lot of tiny minions, I needed more little minions or something what I can use to multiply my numbers. For that I use Master for Battle and Silverhand Knight. As you can notice, I've got Silverhand Knight only once. It's kind of like commander unit or something like that, so I use it that way. Stonepike Commando is here instead of Assassin or Artillery Fire. Abusive Sergeant, Quartermaster, together with Master Swordsmith, are here as commissars or commanders for my other little guardsmen. There is no rule excluding women from the Imperial Guard, even though in a game you can't see any woman between your troopers. I don't know about any rule that would exclude them, so I thought I can put Argent Squire in here as well. While Pyromancer and Dalaran Mage are a representation of Psykers. These Psykers have strong debuffs represented by Humility and Equality in here. Both cards I have only once. Noble Sacrifice and Redemption are good examples how Imperial Guard works. If morality of your soldiers drops down, commissars execute one of the troopers, so they won't stop fighting. It's imaginative way how to describe noble sacrifice. And redemption keeps my troopers on board, so I won't lose them at high rate. Even if only one soldier can fight, Imperial Guard is still strong. While Pyromancer is special kind of Psyker. Special kind, why? Because some Psykers are sometimes so overwhelmed by their powers, so they spontaneously explode, and while Pyromancer is a good representation of that. What would be Imperial Guard without Force Tank Max in this case, or Bandblade in original version? This thing is hard to put down, and so it's very good and almost precise representation of Bandblade. And instead of Ogryns or Ogryn Squad, I decided to use Sea Giant. I can't put it on board quickly. It depends how many other minions are here on board, so I can use it as only as a win more card. So that's Imperial Guard for you. In a queue are Eldar. This deck was a challenge. Eldar are usually considered to be elves, and there are not too many cards representing an elf to begin with. Also, I couldn't use Deadly Poison or any kind of poison, because that's specialty of Dark Eldar. Eldar are considered to be tricksters, hiding in shadows, jumping from one warp gate to another. So I needed cards like Conceal, Shadow Step, Master of Disguise, and stuff like that. I shouldn't have Priestess of Elune, because Eldar don't have any kind of heal represented by a unit. They are usually healed near their warp gates, but Priestess of Elune is an elven card, and unfortunately side effect is that she has a heal. Second thing, I couldn't find any suitable representation of Avatar Kane, so I decided to use Molten Giant. He is the only big flaming guy, and because I probably take a lot of damage, he will be like something like last resort. I've been forced to use again some cards I've already put into the Space Marine deck, namely Silver Moon Guardian and Spellbreaker. Those two cards are knights, but they are also elves, and as I already mentioned, there is not that much of an elven cards to begin with. Sylvanas is something like Harlequin or it's supposed to be something like that. Also, there is a preparation because Eldar use their warlocks and farsees to predict the future and prepare for battle. So I needed to put preparation in here. I don't know what else I could say to this deck, so let's take a look to the last one. Battle Sisters, the last deck I've got here. Rawen-Wolf mentioned that this deck is supposed to be made entirely by female. I beg to differ because I think it's supposed to be made mainly by female, and I've got few excuses for my male characters that are in here. Namely, it's a Doomsayer, Wild Pyromancer, and Antonidas. I've got him here. And there are two excuses I have made. First is that in Warhammer 40k Dawn of War Soulstorm, where our Battle Sisters introduced to the PC game, there are two male characters. I can remember right now only missionaries. And second excuse I've got is that these men characters has some connection or give me something which is connected somehow to the flames. So that's that. It's a little questionable, I know. It's big excuse, but I think I can afford it. Also, as he mentioned, we've got here an Alexstrasza. I couldn't find any suitable replacement for Living Saint. That's an big fucking giant angel with two big weights on its legs, and it's flaming, it's flying, and stuff like that. And anything what would bring life and hope, what would cleanse enemies with fire, is Alexstrasza. And she's a female, so there can't be made any objection with these options we've got for the mage. I can't think of any legendary that is female, that is flaming, and that is big as fucking angel right there. So these are my excuses. Other things are flaming spells, and I've got Arcane Intellect representing Act of Faith, which gives me more cards or some buffs. Let's say buffs, it's cards, but hey, as accurate as possible. So that's that, and I'm gonna see you in our match.